Hello, Pauper fans. This is Mathonical, and you're joining me for the quarterfinals of this Pauper challenge, and we're playing some BorosSS Monarch. Opening hand is quite a reasonable one. It's a little on the slow side, but there's no reason to send that back. Would like to have an untapped land so we can just get our stuff going immediately, especially since it looks like we're playing against elves. No untapped land, so we're going to be a bit on the slow side. Just have to hope for nothing too explosive. We can deal with that, thankfully, being able to play a land drop and the Searing Blaze, so we're even going to their face a little bit. We would like to get another land drop, although we are still going to be able to play one of our artifacts in a Glint Hawk. I did not really want to see the second Elvish Visionary, and unfortunately Searing Blaze cannot kill the Elvish Vanguard here, so instead we're just going to try and draw additional cards. Still no land. Play the Glint Hawk. If we draw a land next turn, our opponent doesn't go too crazy, we might have an opportunity to kill the Vanguard again. I'm going to kill the Nettle Sentinel, mainly because it looks like our opponent is putting us under quite a bit of pressure, especially with the Timberwatch health out. And we were able to draw land, so we can Searing Blaze, kill the elf. That is quite good for us, thankfully. Although, the threats keep on coming. There was the option for us to go for the Firebolt on the Timberwatch elf to hold back the Searing Blaze, but then we would have needed another land drop. I don't know. Maybe it was correct to not cycle the step to try and hold it for Searing Blaze and use the Firebolt there. So now it looks like our opponent is going to be able to go wide, and we don't have any kind of journey to deal with the Elvish Vanguard. So this one is slipping away from us. And a longbow. Looks like our opponent has one of those legendary great elves hands, so chances of us winning from this point is 0, as we concede. Things that could have been done differently was the Firebolt play, but unfortunately this Elvish Vanguard, we would have been needing to concede or block it multiple times. We would have been getting pinged down. Longbow, yeah, there was just no coming back from this one, unfortunately. So let's just go to our sideboard, hope some Electrickeries can do some work. And yeah, I don't really want the Seekers in this one. They can generate some life, but trying to swing it on the ground is not going to be very advantageous against elves. They're usually going to have quite a few things on the ground. Definitely want the 2 Electrickeries. And I also want the Standard Bearers, since we did see the Timber or +X guy. So let's see. We're also going to take out some Palace Sentinels. They go wide and are very easy. It's easy for them to take the Monarch away from us and just to get a random Thraben Inspector, because we also want to bring in the Kor Sanctifiers. This will let us to remove, or allow us to remove, any of the Spider Silk armors or Viridian Longbows that they may have, like that last game, and give us winning chances against those. It may be reasonable to bring in a Prismatic Strands or 2 to buy some additional turns, but then we'd be sideboarding a lot of our main plan. So I'm just going to go with the 6-card sideboard currently, and we'll see how it goes. Our opening hand is reasonable. It would be nice to have a bit more stuff going on, but our lands are untapped. We have Prophetic Prism, Skyfishers to kind of keep the engine going, so let's just see where we go. I hope our opponent starts on a Nettle Sentinel, and they do. That usually means that they're a bit off to a slightly slower start, and since we just drew 2 Galvanic Blast, I'm starting to feel pretty good. We don't have Metalcraft yet, but that should not affect us too much. Korean Ranger here, there's options of what we could bolt. We could have bolted the Elvish Mystic on our turn to prevent Korean Ranger from really getting some stuff going. But instead, I'm just going to save the bolt, deal with this Vanguard. They now have 2 Quarian Rangers, so no point in going after those. Bolt the Vanguard, and I would like to draw an additional land here so I can play another Skyfisher. That's not how it worked out. Standard Bearer does shut down some of the additional mana the Quarian Rangers would be getting them, but we can't play that till next turn. Okay, another Hunt Master. We do need to play an additional artifact to be able to kill that, so we might have to delay our Standard Bearer another turn. We could have just played the Lightning Bolt plus Standard Bearer, and perhaps that would have been a better play, because I ended up using the Lightning Bolt anyway. Although currently they don't have anything I'm too afraid of from the standard bearer, and you never know. You never know. They're just gonna continue to play out cards, and this next turn I hope we would like additional lands. The lands is kind of what makes this deck really hum along, because then we'd be able to start really playing our Kor Skyfishers and Prisms. But we're just going to go ahead and bolt the Vanguard, play out the Standard Bearer. That'll shut down some of the Quarian Ranger, especially now that they might have a Priest of Titania coming down. Land, that is really nice. Now we get to use our Searing Blaze. Take out the Priest of Titania. I was considering just leaving it since they're down to 2 cards. They would need to have some sort of draw more cards. Like, yeah. Brain Ranger is stopping some of their mana generation, but not much of it. They do have Penumbra Spider, but we still are currently able to swing in, thanks to having 2 Skyfishers. It does mean we're only getting 2 damage instead of 4. Glint Hawk loses a lot of value in the face of that. Not much we can do about that. So we'll play an additional Skyfisher. And we'll start swinging in. We do want to try and win the game, and we can try and use this Galvanic Blast to hopefully punk out a win. Looks like our opponent does have a Viridian Longbow. That's a little unfortunate for us. It does mean they get to kill our Standard Bearer. And we don't have a way of getting rid of the Longbow right now. So if we swing in here, we will lose one of our creatures and only get in 4 damage. So what I'm going to do instead is play multiple Glint Hawks, so that way we can swing in with a large board presence. We could still swing in, and I'm quite on the fence about it. It's really tempting. Next turn we'd be able to get in quite a bit of damage. Yeah, we'll opt for that. Chances are they're going to kill one of our Glint Hawks here. Being able to just use the Nell Sentinel and then the Priest of Titania. They can also use the Quarian Rangers, but they can only do that a couple times. So it looks like they're just going to kill one of our Glint Hawks and then suit up the Penumbra Spider to go after another one. We're going to be able to attack in here, and I suspect we're only going to get 4 damage in, and they're likely going to block one of the Kor Skyfishers and then untap ping our Glint Hawk. We are going to be able to completely build up our board. I'm just playing everything out now to play as fast as possible. It'd technically be slightly more correct to attack first and then play out all the stuff afterwards. But they ended up, instead of killing the Glint Hawk to prevent additional damage, they just went for the block and kill a Skyfisher. I don't feel like that was correct, but I guess they do want to keep more of their lands on the battlefield. They're going to go ahead and kill multiple creatures, but we have the win here. We're just going to be able to swing in. Whenever things get blocked, we're going to hit them for 4 and Galvanic Blast them. So thankfully we were just able to race Elves. The bit of burn we had early on was enough to disrupt them, and they didn't have any Lead the Stampedes or Distant Melodies. They did have the Viridian Longbow, which did cause us some trouble though. Alright, game number 3. We gotta win this to stay in it. Let's see. Did we make any change to the sideboard? We did not. And we'll take a look at our opening hand. Alright, opening hand is reasonable. Quite a bit of removal to try and keep them down, so we're going to keep it. Essence Warden. I'm not going to burn that one. Chances are, based on the contents of our hand, we're not really going for a burn win anyway. We just have the way of disrupting them, killing some of their creatures. So I'm going to find out what they're up to before I decide what to kill. I'm kind of hoping our opponent will try to play out a bunch of creatures so I can just bolt the Vanguard, which I do end up doing. Here our opponent could go for quite a few things with the Virtual Ranger, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. It may have been more reasonable to hold the burn spell for something more threatening, like this Well-Wisher means that we may not be able to win if they gain too much life off of it. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave it, because we only have 2 removal spells left, and if we use all of it here, especially since we can't even cast the Searing Blaze, I do need to keep enough removal spells to deal with other threats. We did see that they drew these 3 cards, and we do need to save 2 removal spells for the Timberwatch Elf and the Hunt Master, so that's where our burn spells are going next. I'm hoping they play the Huntmaster here so I can play a land and Searing Blaze it. But chances are, if they just play the Timberwatch Elf, if I don't draw a land, I'm just going to have to play the Journey on it. Or, actually, it doesn't really matter. I can play land, Searing Blaze, either one. So, looks like we are getting stuck. So, just bear with me. We'll jump right back to that position. And here we are. Plays the Birchlore Rangers. That comes down. That's fine. They're going to play the Timberwatch Elf. And the Priest of Titania. They're only playing their threats one at a time, which makes sense. We just played our Boros Garrison, and now we're going to be able to cycle our step, Searing Blaze, the Timberwatch Elf, and go from there. I'm really hoping that our opponent doesn't do some sort of explosive turn with the Hunt Master. They have a lot of men at their disposal, so if they have another, fortunately, Lead the Stampede, if they hit really well here, we're going to be in trouble, and we'll need to find an Electrickery. And our opponent hit a full 5. So, a little unfortunate for us. They also have a ton of mana to work with, thanks to the Birchlore Rangers. So we're just going to quickly zoom through this. We do need some sort of removal spell to... Yeah, we need an Electrickery or a bust. That's basically where we're at. We can survive another turn, probably, since we're going to be able to remove the Huntmaster and the Timberwatch Elf here with our 2 removal spells. But after that, we are not looking too good without an Electrickery. I'm going to go ahead and play out some of our creatures just to make sure we survive. I'm not sure why I didn't use the Journey. Perhaps the replay glitched. Oh yes, because we have the Standard Bearer, I'm holding the Journey, mainly because this is shut down. There we go, just in case another threat came along. Was considering it on the Nettle Sentinel, now that I remember correctly, just to prevent a little more damage. But it's really a difference of 1 damage when you come down to it, since we're going to be able to block the Nettle Sentinel profitably and use the Glint Hawk on something else. So we're just going to go ahead and block a couple things, go down to a very low life total, and Electrickery. Thraben Inspector, that's a redraw, so we will play to our outs and redraw. Alchemist Vial, that will not do it. We're just going to hold up our lands as if we had an Electrickery. Our opponent is calling our bluff, but it's not really much of a bluff. They swing in, and we do indeed lose. Fortunately, we did not get to keep going on our challenge run this time, but thank you for joining me. I'm going to have a wrap-up section in the next video, so stay tuned for that, and thank you very much for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the wrap-up.